executive meeting of the Columbia Rotary Club. It's great to see everybody here. And if you would, silence your cell phones as we get started. And we will have an invocation today from Ann Walker.
As I pray in my faith, I invite you to pray in yours. Father, thank you so much for this day and for all many blessings. We are all surviving this heat, knowing that eventually the cool weather will come. We thank you for this food. We thank you for those who prepared it. We thank you for the leadership of our club. We thank you for our speaker. Be with all of us as we go through our lives. Give it our best shot. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Ann. And I know it's always tight coming in at 12:30. You're swinging in, and then you're not sure if you got your lunch or not. But we'll just go with it. So if you need to go around and get your lunch afterwards, that is fine too. So now we will do our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose long stripes and bright stars through the perilous night, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And before we sit, if you would please recite the four-way test with me of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And now we'll do our introduction of visiting Rotarians and guests.
Hey, good afternoon. I don't think we have any visiting Rotarians or visitors, guests. Just want to double check on that. Good.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Easy enough. Okay, and now let me see, I think. Now we're gonna have, where's Andy? There he is. Okay, so in keeping with our theme of meet your board members, we're gonna have Andy Shane, who is a board member, and also our service committee chair, come up and say a few words.
A few words. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'll be here all week. And I'll get to dinner waiters and waitresses. As many of you already know, I am Andy Shane. I am your service committee chairman, and that means I will help oversee the Bocce Bash, bell ringing, the new blood drive, as well as food packing. So I have a little bit on our agenda, and of course, if you would like to join any of those efforts, please let me know. I'd be happy to have you on that. Obviously the next thing we're going to have is the bell ringing, so get soon for me nudging you about that as we now head into the school season, as tomorrow's the first day of classes at where I work, USC. A little bit about me. I'm a native of Philadelphia, or actually suburban Philadelphia to be honest, a place actually called Media. I went to Northwestern, and then my first job was in Myrtle Beach. And in Myrtle Beach I met a tobacco farmer's daughter, and somehow convinced her to marry me. I'm a 2, she's a 10. Yeah, so just for you to see it. It's kind of like a lot of love it, Julia Roberts kind of thing going on. And I have one daughter who we adopted 23 years ago. She works at Trinity Learning Center, the daycare at Trinity Episcopal. My wife is the public information officer for the Department of Corrections. So if you have any questions about prisons or you want to hear any cool prison stories, come see me. I have them. Let's see, I live in southeast Columbia, behind the VA hospital. I know, I'm smart enough to know that for the next week, I don't visit the local Target. For any of you who have ever been there during the first week of classes, you know what I mean. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. I am on the board of the Center for Fathers and Families, which is a group that helps fathers who don't have custody of their kids but want to reconnect with them. So let's just say that they got behind on their child support payments or got into a little trouble, but they just need a little help to get back on their feet and to get connected with their children. We do that, so I really like that because it's a little counterintuitive in helping fathers. And I've been doing that for 9 years. And I'm happy to be on this board. I'm happy to serve everyone and to do all the work that we've been doing and to work with everybody here to make it all happen. It's been wonderful to have this partnership with each and every one of you on all these things, and I look forward to working with you during the next year. Thank you. What I do, I'm so busy telling you about my wife and my dog. So, as many of you know, I was a longtime newspaper reporter and editor. I worked at Myrtle Beach, which is where I met my wife. I worked in Charlotte. I also worked at the state newspaper, and I worked for the Post-Courier here in Columbia, where I ran all of their operations outside of Charleston for a little while. And then 3 years ago, I got my new day job working at USC, where I'm the senior communications manager over there. I call myself kind of the kitchen junk drawer of the place. I just do a little bit of everything from writing op-eds and news releases to doing research to contacting folks in the media or whatever else I can do to help the university spread this message. And one of the things I'm really proud of is the fact that I think it's a great mission to be a part of, just educating the future leaders and the future, business folks and cheerleaders and football players and all the rest of it that we have, that we have at the university. It's just a wonderful experience to do that. And the funny part is, I'll just leave you with this, is people often ask me if I'm a graduate, and of course I'm not, but I have been down south for a while and basically exclusively dated the USC girls for some reason. And I did say, so I said, I married into it, which means I did this by choice, by becoming a Gamecock. So there we go. All right, everybody have a great Monday, and go Cubs.
Okay, and now we'll have William Couch come up for our health and happiness and card message.
Alrighty, good afternoon, everybody. Today's card message is focused around being proactive and making progress when it comes to cognitive health. So, recent research shows that over 2,100 adults that had a proactive lifestyle it helped combat cognitive health decline. So what that looks like could be physical exercise, nutrition, cognitive and social engagement, and also monitoring your health. So noticing the declines before it gets on too quick. So I'll leave you with two things today. One is the quote of the day in spirit of being proactive. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. And that's with C.S. Lewis, or by C.S. Lewis. And the last thing I'll leave you with, somebody told me that it's Glenn's birthday today. So, should we sing?
Yes.
Okay. Start us off. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Glenn. Happy birthday to you.
And many more. Okay. All right, so now I'll ask Mason Hardy to come up and introduce our speaker today.
Craig's going to have plenty of time. That's good. And he saved the time for a question. Our speaker today is retired Colonel Craig Curry, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Transitions Homeless Center in the Midlands' largest homeless facility. Since joining Transitions in 2012, he has led the 260-bed facility in serving homelessness adults throughout the community. He promises that he will not resign immediately following this meeting today. For those of you who know, last week's speaker resigned an hour after being Yes, Paul Blackstone is no longer, he's leaving the Chamber of Commerce. Okay, so back to Craig Curry. Before joining Transition.
Did we not clap enough, or what was it?
Before joining Transitions, Curry completed a distinguished 30-year career in the U.S. Army, retiring as Deputy Commanding Officer of Fort Jackson. His service included leadership assignments across the United States and overseas in Iraq, Germany, Korea, and Haiti. In 1982, graduate of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, he holds several advanced degrees, including a Doctor of Administrative. His numerous honors include the Distinguished Service Medal, Legion of Merit, Bronze Star Medal, induction into the Fort Jackson Hall of Fame, and the Mock Lifetime of Service Award. He is also a member of the Spring Valley Rotary Club. He and his wife Maria have 3 grown children and 6 grandchildren. Let's welcome Craig Curry.
Hey, thank you for having me today. Greetings from Spring Valley Rotary. We meet in the Northeast, and a similar crowd. I think you're a little bit bigger than we are, but good. And I know that at 1:30, Mason runs up here and gives me the hook and drags me off. So we'll be on time, and please ask questions along the way. We'll have some questions at the end if that's more comfortable to you. So let's talk. I don't like being behind this wall totally, so let's get going here. All right. Mason already told you we're the largest provider for homeless services in the Midlands. And here's our mission. And we're about putting people permanently into homes. So we are a shelter, so we have 260 beds. But our real goal is to get them in, help them, and get them housed somewhere. So we don't keep doing this cycle over and over again. And that's critical to really reducing homelessness. Now, we can all talk about how you get homelessness, and we will a little bit down the road here in this briefing, but shelters don't cause people to be homeless. That's one thing that, it sounds like that's an obvious statement, but a lot of people actually think shelters are part of the problem. And if you get rid of shelters, then the homeless folks will go away. Well, that doesn't work. I mean, before Transitions was ever on Main Street, there were homeless folks there. And some of you that have been around a while know that that's a true statement. So we're trying to help people get them off the street permanently and work, and this is our mission, and that permanent housing there at the end is really our bread and butter. We're a one-stop shop. Homeless folks don't have transportation, so if they can get somewhere and one place where they can be helped, we have a van that drives people around. We give folks bus tickets if they need to go to an agency somewhere for more help, and then come back and spend the night with us. So again, it's a matter of trying to consolidate the resources in one area, and we have a lot of partners that help us do that. I get asked all the time, why are people homeless? Well, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, your house could burn down, and technically you're homeless at that point, but that's not really the folks we're seeing at Transitions, because they don't have mental health problems. If your house burned down tonight, Lord willing that doesn't happen, but you would have your education, you wouldn't have mental health issues, you wouldn't be addicted to heroin, and you'd probably have family support that would help you put you up for a night, a week, a month, until you get reorganized and move into a new place somewhere. But you'd still have employment, you'd still have an income, and again, those things don't work well. And I highlight that family piece. A lot of the homeless folks have broken the bonds with their family. The families have said, enough's enough, it's tough love time, and get out of here. And it's kind of hard with an 18 or 19-year-old when they've done that. But they have a lot of mental health issues, addiction issues. After a while, you can only take so much crack before you kind of want the person out of your life. And we've got that, and it's tough. One of the first things we do at Transitions is call the family and say, hey, we have little Johnny here, do you want Johnny back? And unfortunately, the answer is almost always no. I never want to see them again. So that's a tough place to be family-wise. All right, so here's kind of a general flow of how folks will end up at transitions. You have some kind of crisis. You lose your job, you get cancer, so you lose your job, you lose your health care, and suddenly things aren't going well. You're on the street, and many people live paycheck to paycheck. I hope that the folks in this room aren't in that case, but many people in America are paycheck to paycheck. So if something significantly goes wrong, you've got a real problem. And being on the street, then you start, our outreach people go. We have outreach people that are paid for the city. We partner with the city on outreach day and night. So if someone's at your business, you need to call these outreach folks, and I'm going to come over here because I can't see you all that well. So you need to call people and get them into a shelter. If you're under the bridge, you're not moving towards better health care, you're not doing psychiatric appointments, you're not looking for employment, you're under the bridge. And it's pretty hard to get a job if you live under the bridge, for various reasons. So again, we're trying to get you into transitions where the services listed there, you can see, we're trying to then help you get a job, help you get cleaned up, maybe get you to the psychiatrist. We have Columbia Area Mental Health on site, so we work with people. And Columbia Area Mental Health deals with medication. So when I say psychiatric problems, it's going to be serious depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, and it's hard to hold a job if those are problems for you. So we got to get you through there, we got to get you helped, and then move you into that permanent housing. Maybe it's another facility. Maybe you need to go to a detox facility. You're not ready to be housed permanently. So we do that as well. And in the end, they end up in a better place. Here's a little bit of history. How many people remember Main Street, and we're actually working on Main Street, or before Transitions was ever built? Okay, good. You guys old timers here. So I thought, I would assume a lot of new people had moved in. But again, so you can remember before, it was the Salvation Army, if you recall, and it was a Comfort Inn before that. And it was the Comfort Inn that generated the shelter aspect, because it was an old hotel. Ultimately, it was condemned, so we had to rebuild that portion. But again, 260 beds, we're about 70% male, 30% female, and that's the national unaccompanied rate for homeless. If children are involved, the women numbers go way up. But if children are not involved, and we don't take anyone under 18. So now some of our folks have children, but they've lost custody of their children. So they're there. We do have married people, but the man has to go to the male dorm, the woman has to go to the female dorm. And different programs, we work programs because sometimes it's better to deal with an 18 to 24-year-old, and that's our youth population, and not mix them in with the 55-year-old man. Sometimes there's a total difference in thought and what they think is important and what they want to do. So again, we work here, we have a lot of veteran programs. We are the largest veteran homeless center, probably in the state, but I'll say for the Midlands for sure. We've got 58 veteran beds, so there's a large portion of veterans who are unhoused at Transitions right now. Okay, so all kinds of things go on. I talked about being a one-stop shop. You've got to be able to deal with issues and problems with folks in one place. If you get too complicated, I'm going to tell you, unhoused people aren't good at appointments. Fred, we've got you an appointment at 3 o'clock down at the employment agency at SC Works. Okay, well, first of all, Fred's got to get there. So we give Fred a bus ticket. Well, you got to get on that bus, and you got to make it there. But then Fred likes to get sidetracked, and so Fred goes somewhere to find food. And then Fred walks up and down Main Street, and then Fred never makes the appointment. So it's good to have everything right there. You don't have to worry about transportation, and we get things out. We have a van driver, and he drives folks around as well. So if we're that worried about you on the bus ticket, we're gonna give you to Eric, and Eric's gonna put you in the van, he's gonna drive you right to the door, and watch you walk in the door. Now after that, you gotta kinda have a little self-starter motivation to get the job or talk to whatever the resume help, or go to SC Works. And we work with DO, we have a back to work program with them, so DO, and I don't know where he's in DO here, Department of Employment Workforce, they help us. So again, partners are a great thing, and you've gotta have a wide variety. One of the things too, it's hot. It's really hot. And so people walking around outside, they don't have refrigerators, they don't have water, they don't have air conditioning. So in the summer, we have Operation Heat from Memorial Day to Labor Day. As much ice as you can get, as much water as you can drink, you can shower and cool off, all of that in our day center. So that alone keeps people alive. In the winter, I want to tell you, sleeping on the sidewalks is the wrong answer. One year we had 5 homeless people die, and we used to run the Inclement Weather Center, but 5 people died who were not in the center. So the city does a great thing by having the Inclement Weather Center, which is not that far that way. It's down by the water treatment plant. So that's a thing, that's a good service. You want to get people off the street in the cold and off the street in the extreme heat. Now, May and October are a little tougher because the weather's nice and they don't necessarily want to come in. So now you're trying to coax them in, and that outreach folks are out there trying to say, hey, come on in, let's get help, let's get you off the street. Here's some special things. We have a homeless court, and we, maybe it's the wrong pronoun, we get to host it, but the municipal judge, one of the judges comes from the city and will hear misdemeanor cases. Can be no sexual offense and no alcohol driving offense. But otherwise, if it's a misdemeanor, they're going to deal with it. And the defense counsel folks, they do a great job. They'll even try to help, they'll contact Arizona and try to work out what the charge is. Because a lot of folks have criminal records, but they have active things against them. And homeless court, if you have an active charge against you, you're going to have a miserable time finding any place that will accept you. No landlord is going to say, oh yeah, you're pending charges. Yeah, I want you. No, it doesn't work that way. And then you have pending charges, get out of here. And so our folks deal with that constantly. So a criminal charge of any type, and it hurts you from getting a job. If you have 5 resumes sitting on your desk and you're looking at 5 people, and one guy is wanted for something or pending a court case, you're not going to take him. Nobody. I mean, let's face it, in this room, you're not going to take that person. In fact, HR people have told me we might get in trouble as a company if we hire that criminal. So again, that's the reality of folks and what they're facing between jobs. So homeless courts design, expunge things, get them into a program, and the solicitor wants them involved with some type of program. He doesn't want to just expunge the thing and, delete the debt for whatever the penalty was. But if the person's trying to do the right thing and working to get housed, okay, it's cheaper to do that too. If you don't like the moral aspect, I'm going to give you one financially. It's way cheaper to let the person get housed than to send them to jail. Okay, because jail is expensive. Career centers there, financial literacy, we've got some banks that help us do financial programs. We have had people who think that you write checks until the checkbook is empty. And that sounds kind of stupid, but they don't manage their money well. So again, all of that is a part of education and helping people get to a better place. Special programs in here, I mentioned the veteran one and the 58 beds. We partner a lot with VA over at Dorn Medical Center, and we're trying to get people housed. And I've got a heart for veterans. I served in the military for a long time, and it's kind of frustrating to see this. A lot of addiction issues there, a lot of mental health issues there. And so you're trying to get them to where, okay, let's get you housed. And the VA has supported it. 74, that's actually the year before, we did 61 last year. We housed 310 people, 61 of them were veterans. So again, we're very connected to the veteran community, especially the unhoused veteran community. And we're trying to get them housed, get them off the street. They served their country, so now we're trying to help them and get them off the street. The actively aging program, and baby boomers haven't done well. And the 2008 downturn wiped a lot of them out. It wiped their savings out, and they basically have ended up homeless. It's also a very large population. It's a big generation. Baby boomers are a large generation. So again, lots of folks there that have grown, up 30%. It's a population that has grown tremendously. So a lot of the elderly people, they're not young kids. That's about 8%. It's the older folks, about 11 or 12%. Outreach, you gotta have outreach. Okay, so when I came into this job, I'm gonna come back over here so I can see Mason. So, when I started in this job, I thought, well, heck, we're giving away free chow. In the Army, if you said chow, everybody came running. The soldiers are piling up, they wanted food. Well, I thought, everybody would want to come to a homeless center. Why wouldn't you? You get free food, a place to sleep, air conditioning, a water fountain, bathrooms. That's not true. Everybody doesn't want to come. There's people who want to be under the bridge. Now you're going to go in there, whether they got serious mental health issues or whatever. Yeah, they pay. But the point is, you got to try to get them in. You got to coax them in, and you can't just walk up to somebody and say, hey, I need you to come to transitions. They don't know work. They don't even know who the outreach person is. So you got to build rapport. First day, hey, here's a bottle of water. Hey, notice you need some socks. Yeah, she do need some socks. So I give you some socks, okay? I'm not doing any fashion critique here. There's no fashion critique here. But you give pairs of socks, and in the winter, that's it. You can build friends real fast. And Bamba actually does give socks. We got a ton of socks. So here's some socks. Here's some water. And then after a while, they're looking for you. Hey, you didn't come yesterday. How come you didn't bring me a bottle of water? Well, I had to go to other places. And then you lure them in. Okay, you get them in. So there is a coaxing job. These are some places. I took these pictures. I didn't take the middle one. We were just out over in Lexington on these two. There was camps out there. The one in the middle I always liked. That's not even that far. It's down by the river. They were running an extension cord out of somebody's backyard. They had power. They had this tent. This guy didn't want to leave. We had a hard time convincing him to leave this camp. He had privacy, and a lot of folks don't want to really be around people. They like being in the woods. So you got to be careful with the assumptions that you're going to build a shelter and they will come. What's that movie with the cornfield and they make a ballpark or something? If you make it, they'll come or whatever and build it. Yeah, you got to get some of these folks. You got to get out. The outreach team you can see there on the right, and they do a great job. They go out into some strange places. We've got around 50 partners. The numbers fluctuates based on their budgets, their grants. Some places are grant dependent, so they do grants. If they have the money, they help us. If they don't have the money, they sort of take 6 months off and they go get a new grant and then they help us. So this will be a fluctuating list. The Main Street District is up here. They help us. Matt's folks are out with the yellow shirts. We'll outreach there. Got to figure out who's homeless. And the yellow shirts often know, hey, Fred's under the tree over here at night. Every night at 7 o'clock. If somebody goes and talks to Fred, you might get him into transitions. So there's a type of direction. Mason's not on here, but Mason helps us with our retirement accounts and investments. I probably should put down something there. But again, lots of folks, it's a team sport. An individual agency can't do this. You need lots of help, lots of expertise. And to have all that expertise under one roof would be very expensive for one organization. But some of these people that show up once a week, twice a week. Cooperative Health's there 2 days a week. Health problems are tremendous. This is a very unhealthy population. Chief Holbrook's always getting mad. Craig, you got too many ambulance calls. The city gets mad at me. Okay, well, I don't know. The guy's having chest pains. What do you want us to do? We call the hospital. the ambulance comes, and we have people die. Not often, Lord willing, but again, people are very unhealthy. And so we're trying to do the best we can to help them get what they need. And Cooperative Health, a federally qualified health clinic, is on site, providing medical care. Much cheaper to do it there than walk into the emergency room. You ever wonder why it's like 5 or 10 hours at the emergency room? Well, you got half the people sitting there, they don't have health care, they're looking, by law, they have to be treated. And a homeless person will gladly sit in the air-conditioned emergency room when it's 100 degrees outside. And they don't have a place to go anyway. So again, it's different folks, different strokes for different folks. Some people love the emergency room. In fact, they can go to the bathroom there. Nice bathrooms. So again, it's a different way of looking at things. The partners are key, and they help us with all sorts of things. How am I doing on time there, Mason? We're doing pretty well.
You're doing great.
Okay, all right.
You're gonna get lots of questions.
I'm bracing myself. All right, here we go. Some 4,000, it's actually 4,417 we house as of the end of June. Those are the people that we permanently house. 2.7 million meals. This is since we opened in 2011. So again, they're cumulative totals, but they're good totals. We're proud of those because that's really the help to the people. People need food, they need to eat. People need a place to sleep, we give them a place to sleep. We don't even put shelter beds down because for whatever reason, HUD's not real excited about shelter beds. But you get a person off the street for the night, I think that's a pretty good thing. And actually, we're probably over 100,000 of those. So again, lots of ways, but we like that one on the left the most, the 4,414, which is now 17, and actually it's higher than that. We've gone up some more. Okay, we talked cost. Now, a lot of you are business people and way smarter than I am, I know that. So now I have to make the cost argument, okay? If the humanity piece about getting people off the streets not working, then let's talk about food. Harvest Hope is our big food partner. They cook. And of course they have a food bank. It's great, They got a food bank that has lots of food. They still have to buy some food. It's very hard to feed people consistently all the time on donated food. You end up having to buy some stuff to make the menu varied and not just like, hey, we got a pallet of bananas, so you eat bananas for 10 meals straight. That doesn't work well. But they do a great job cooking the food. The price there for 3 meals is around $8. And to us, remember this, Salvation Army's got that, it was Salvation Army, now it's Harvest Hope. They've got their own labor and they absorb a lot of those costs. So we don't see them. It costs about $44 to keep someone at Transitions a day. Now that's feeding, case management, services and everything. It's not a hotel room. Hotels have gotten a lot more expensive too. I don't know if you've gone to a hotel lately, but they're not as cheap as they used to be. Even Motel 6 is a lot more. So this is full services too, that $44. Now the jail one down there, it was $72 when I came into this job. Maybe it was $65. Almost 15 years ago. So you need, somebody was the prison person, somebody, I forget who that was, but maybe state penalty, the state prison is different. This is Alvin S. Glenn, where most of the folks will go in Richland County. And the city pays $72 a day. But there's other costs there, and nobody's fessing up to what the other costs are. So I've shown that $72 for that's a pre-COVID number. And there's no way food has tripled. Our food bill has tripled since COVID started. So again, inflation's kicked in, and then spending the night in the hospital about the worst thing anybody can do. Not because they're bad people, because it's expensive. It's about 5,000, and that number's at least 10 years old. You go find a hospital senior person and ask for exact cost. Do I have any hospital folks here who work in the upper echelons of the They won't admit to what costs are. The insurance people, everybody's tense. Nobody will give you an average cost. It's kind of the way it is, but I actually got a guy to fess up on the ER visits. And those are just walking in the ER and being there. That doesn't count the test, which add a lot more money to the whole average. So again, for the engineer types in here in the business, it's cheaper to help them at a shelter. That's the takeaway from this slide. It's a lot cheaper. Let's just help the people so they're not walking around, getting arrested, going to court, sleeping under the bridge, making people mad at Main Street, getting business owners upset because they defecated behind their building. Let's just help them from the get-go. Okay, so we got so tired of trying to house people within wheelchairs that we came up with Dutch Plaza. So we bought this place. It's an office building that we're converting over by Dutch Square Mall. And we have 11 units open now, and we're about ready to start construction on the next 11. And we're going to slowly work with SC Housing Trust and get these places built. Because it's terribly hard to get ADA, the Americans with Disability Act, compliant rooms. If you're in a wheelchair, first of all, room over a garage, wrong answer. Instantly you know there are stairs. A person with a walker, and remember a lot of our folks are elderly, they're disabled, you can't get a wheelchair, you can't get a walker and be in a room over a garage, which many people will rent out, and at a lower price that they might be able to afford. So again, lots of things here. We're excited about this. Brand new apartments. When we're done making the stuff, they're brand new. This is great. The folks love these. So we've got their 11 units now fully occupied. About 3 of them are veterans. And they're elderly and they're disabled and they can actually go up an elevator. So it's awesome. So if they're in a wheelchair, hello, we just found you a place. So again, good thing, and building more housing is a good thing. If you really want to tackle homelessness as an issue, you've got to have a place that they can go. And if there's no affordable housing, then it's a problem. It's just plain a problem. And we always tell people at transitions, hey, this isn't the final stop. We're getting you out of here and getting you moved into a place. You can't live in a shelter the rest of your life. And there are some people who believe that. So we got to work on them and get them to a better place. What can you do? Well, you can volunteer. Now the left picture there, wait a minute. That's the Spring Valley Rotary. It comes down 1 to 2 times a month and serves lunch. What do? You show up, you have to wash your hands, put on a hairnet or a baseball cap, and most of them, I think you can see they're wearing baseball caps. They figured that one out, and then they serve lunch. Your church group can come. We'll schedule you, and we like to do it once a month. So you got to do the second Tuesday, so avoid Mondays. You don't want to do Monday lunch, that's no good. But do whatever your group can handle. And just pick one, that's 12 times a year, and you'll see, you'll change. It'll probably be more of a meaningful experience for you. I know every time I go down there and just watch 200 people walk by you who are unhoused, it'll wake you up. Okay, so that's a way you can serve. You can always donate money. Hey, look, I'm not that proud. I'll ask you for money. Just go on the website, transitionssc.org, and you pull out that credit card, and you crank out a donation right away. So that's always a good thing. Oh, gee whiz, our big events this Sunday. And there's 8 tickets left, I think. You can get on the website, you can buy tickets to it. And Chef's Feast, we got all kinds of chefs coming. We got 6 of them. And they're great folks, and that'll be a great time. Our biggest fundraiser of the year is September 24th. And again, you go to that transitionssc.org, you can crank that out. Okay? Get tickets. Oh, gee whiz. Really good, Mason. All right. There's got to be some questions here. What questions got? All right, right here, sir, in the back. Oh, you got microphones too. You guys are good.
Thank you for being here and explaining all this to us. It's quite fascinating. What is the average age of an occupant of somebody that you may serve there?
Our sweet spot is 45 to 62. At 62, they can start drawing Social Security early. Most will do that. Most have not paid a lot into Social Security. Their employment record's usually not great. But about 45, we have people who work in manual labor jobs, then they hurt their back. And that's the beginning of the end, because they can no longer do that. And then we find out that they're illiterate. And they really can't do that. So 45 to 60 range is where most of the age is.
Are they typically single?
I'm sorry, they're
Are
what?
they typically single individuals?
At our facility, yes. We have married people, but like I said earlier, women go to that dorm, men go to that dorm. But yes, most of the population is unmarried. They might have been married at one time, but they're no longer married. Others? Yes, ma'am.
Greg, I am Walker with Elton Health Society, and I want to thank you. Y'all know on Friday afternoon, everybody's gathered, right?
Try to get some help on Friday afternoon, most anywhere, if you're out on the street. It's tough. But his person, Larry Benjamin, and my person, Melanie Eves, they had a situation, had to be actually one of our board members' cousins who had served time in prison, had done his time, had addiction issues, kept trying to get, finally decided he was ready to do something about it. The bottom line is he was being discharged from the hospital on Friday afternoon. And between Larry and Millie, they got things worked out. But so I just want to say thank you, because y'all may or may not know, I run the Austin Health Society, and so we're one of the many partners that, as Greg said, it takes a village.
Yep,
So
and thanks for what you all do. Thank you very much. Larry does a great job. It's hard to deal, I mean, most of you, this is your own answer. If you see a homeless person on the street, what do? And I would submit that most of you probably walk faster or cross the road and kind of go around where they are if you see them. And it's hard. The outreach job is a hard job, especially if you're in the woods. I mean, if you're in the woods, it's not even safe. A lot of times I shoot my guys out there. Why don't you get a police officer to go with you out there? They always go in pairs if they're going out in the woods, but it's a tough place, and thank you for the encouraging word, man. Thank you.
Craig, does the ER call you if they're letting somebody go that they know has nowhere to go? Because I see them in the mornings, sitting at the bus stop, they're in the scrubs, in the wheelchairs, and clearly don't have anywhere else to go.
Okay, I have to be careful here because, Prisma, we don't want to make people mad. Yes, the answer to your question is yes. And do we always have a bed? No, because we're probably full up. So if we did after lunchtime, we're full. Now you can come to the day center and we'll try to help you out, but it would probably be the next day before we can get you in the shelter. But the hospitals, they may send someone to us at 4:50 in the afternoon. It's like, well, what do you want us to do? So we help the person, we'll get them clothes, because we've got the scrub person. And it's like guys walking around with scrubs, they still got the thing around his wrist. It's like, oh, come on, let's get you out of the scrubs. You're a target. You're a target on the street. But yes, the ERs call us. They know Lynn. They know Lynn Allen, our intake person. They have their phone number, and it's good to go. Yes, sir.
Is there a time limit that they have to go?
Yes. So generally 30 days. If you're not progressing out of what our lowest level of beds is called emergency beds, and they're 30 days. So if you can't get it together and convince our case managers that, hey, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to get on medicine and deal with my schizophrenia, whatever the issue is. And now, in 30 days, if you're doing the right thing, we're going to move you into program, or sooner. We get some people who go to program after a day or two. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this guy, and veterans are that way. They'll get moved over to the veteran beds. If the VA board says, yeah, thumbs up. But yes, sir, about 30 days, and if you're not doing the right thing, you're out of here. And then you got to come back, you got to be out 7 days, and then you can come back. So you wear people down. Some of the chronically homeless, That's 4 times homeless in 3 years, or longer than a year with a debilitating condition. We're about 26% chronically homeless. So that means something's not right. Something's wrong. If you keep getting homeless, it's not right. Like I said earlier, if you guys, your house burned down, you're not chronically homeless. You're going to figure it out. You're going to get a house. You're going to move in, keep your job. Don't use heroin and drive on. Everyone doesn't fall into that category.
I have a quick question, yeah. Thank you for being here. You mentioned partnership with Department of Employment and Workforce.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit more about workforce training and the types of training services you offer?
Okay, so Department of Employment Workforce has a special program for the unhoused called Back to Work. And it started at Transitions, and it's now all over the state. And they do it in the big shelters in each of the large areas. And it works well. It's a great program. They have a hiring event at the end of it, and folks can get jobs. So you go to about a 3-week course now. I think they're 2 to 3 times a week. And then the very last thing they do is they have a job fair, basically. And they call it a hiring event, because it's not just for you to pontificate the universe. They got people there who will hire you on the spot. So you've worked on your resume, you've worked on your clothing, and what to present yourself well. And they stand in front of you and they teach you interview skills, and you're trying to impress the HR person, look them in the eye, and do a good job, and then they get hired. And if you've got someone working, the problems with homelessness are much easier to solve. Because that means they'll show up to a place, they'll show up on time, and they want to work. I got stories, but one of them is like, you tell a person, hey, you got to get a job. We started our jobs program, and about 5 minutes into it, a person stands up, and I'm not doing this program, I'm out of here. It's only been 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, but this guy's telling me I got to get a job, and walked out. I mean, that's the kind of a tough. If you don't want to get a job, then an employment program's tough. And then I said to him, how are you going to ever pay rent? I just looked at him, how are you ever going to pay rent? And then he walked out. He's probably still on the street. Others.
So, I own a business on Main Street, and often I'm leaving the building. It's not even dark yet, but I see homeless people sleeping on the street, and it's right across the street from the Oliver Gospel Mission. So I don't quite understand that. So can you let us know what the difference is between what you do and what the Oliver Gospel Mission does? And then also, I don't know if I should call the yellow shirt people about that. And then also, can you tell us what's your biggest challenge?
Okay. Next question. Okay, so Oliver Gospel also deals with homeless folks. They have about 89, 90 beds or so. They have a step-up program for substance, and that's their better program that they're really targeting people with addiction issues. It's Christian-based. Hey, I'm a Christian, I don't have a problem with that, but it does control what kind of, they cannot get federal dollars because they require religious activities, Bible studies, chapel attendance. You have to do stuff there, and they can't do that and also draw federal dollars. So for us at Transitions, religion is optional. If you're a Christian, great, but we're not going to say you got to pray or you're not going to get this or whatever. So that's a big difference there. Now, we're about 3 times larger than they are. So we're 260 beds, they're 89. Now, my math were better. 3 is pretty close. Okay, so we're larger, we have way more case managers and way more partners. So we're going to tackle whatever your problem is. These other smaller shelters, they send people to us. Oh, wait, you got serious mental health problems? You need to go to Transitions. And they're no secret. They even tell me that. Their CEOs tell me that. So part of that is that they're not looking for some of the folks who are kind of, fight insanity. Now, wait, you got me on the, what's the other thing you want to know? Yeah, calling the yellow shirts is good. Now remember, outreach, the yellow shirts are not police. So if someone is involved with criminal activity outside your business, and they're pounding on your door, or they're, yelling obscenities at people as they walk by, that's against the law. And at that point, I would tell you to call 911 and get Chief Holbrook's people out there. But if the guy's sitting on his butt, just looking at people, they say, hey, sir, you need to leave, maybe move on. And they said no, then a yellow shirt would be appropriate. Matt, you correct me if wrong. And the outreach person would be appropriate. So again, they're just trying to, okay, come on, man, we need to get you out of here, and we'll take you down to transitions. And you can go to transitions up to 5 o'clock. After that, in the evening, which you were describing earlier, then it's a problem. And then you're just trying to get the guy to move on. Now, our outreach people are real good at getting people to move on. They will get them away from your business. Now, they may be 2 blocks away, but they will get them away from your business. That helps. Yes, sir.
Has the city been trying to centralize the feeding and the homeless? I know Jimmy Jones has got his spot. You've got your spot. There's a lot of different, Washington's Methodist Church has got their spot. I mean, what's the goal to get everybody to go to one central spot?
I would tell you to go to transitions, but now that's a Craig answer, not the mayor's answer.
I understand.
Okay, now the city has opened the Recovery Community Center. So they've taken the SCORF money, the South Carolina Opioid Recovery Fund, SCORF. So they've taken that money and they've opened a facility across the street. There's a case manager there are no beds. So often they're sending people over to us. So again, the $1 million thing in Columbia are beds. Where can you get the person to spend the night and get off the street? And Transitions is a big place. So we've got 260 beds. So now the city opened up the pod place too. I shouldn't call it the pod place. The overflow. Yeah, the overflow shelter. And so it has 40 men, 10 women. So it's basically a shelter down by the water treatment plant. And then it becomes the Inclement Weather Center, now called the Overflow, from 1 November to 31 March. So they're still continuing to do some of the things that they've always done, like the Overflow mission. They have opened a 50-bed shelter. So the mayor's tried to, do things to help, and we'll see what happens across the street. I'm not the expert. I don't have the numbers on that. They're feeding a lot more at Hope Plaza now. They're feeding a lot of breakfasts and a lot of lunches, not so many dinners. But again, you're not going to starve to death in Columbia. That's not the problem. The problem is getting you somewhere where we can help you and have consistent, like if you're under the bridge one day, when I come back at 2 o'clock the next day, I'm probably not going to find you. And now what? I just wasted my time going to the bridge looking for her, and she's not there. And that's that makes treatment really difficult. Matt.
I'll get you next.
He'll get me after.
I think you're next. You're next.
Go ahead.
No, you go. You got the mic.
Okay. Hi, Greg. What's your occupancy rate? Do you ever have to turn people away?
Yes. Yeah, we're about 99% full year-round in our emergency beds. And yes, we turn people away every day.
Is that a common? Oh, every day. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there are men in particular, so often women too. There seem to be more and more chronically homeless women walking around the streets. So it's a tough thing to deal with. I don't like to turn women away from anything, but again, if you don't have beds for them, you don't have beds. We have to, by law, we can't really just have people sitting who have fire codes, and there's codes for beds. You have, I think, 11 beds per one shower and 9 beds per one bathroom. toilet. There's rules. Somebody's smarter in here than I am on those exact engineering rules. But you can't just say, I want 900 people in here. And then, then they're kind of all crammed in, and then you get criticized for, overcrowding and that kind of thing, and being inhuman. Matt?
Yeah, well, Craig, first of all, I want to thank you for your service to the community. With your leadership experience and education, you could have done a lot after leaving the Army, and we're really blessed